still.
If you base medicine on science, you cure people. If you base the design of planes on science, they fly. If you base the design of rockets on science, they reach the moon. It works, bitches.
Yes, science!
All right.
I really hate his smudgy I'm sorry.
I'm not a fan of Dawkins anyway, so I really think it's worth changing.
Killing people. You're not killing anyone with medicine. I mean, you probably sometimes do, but it's not the point. I know you kill people. Kill people. It sounds like kill. I can find you a better quote. I must be able to find you a better quote. I'm going to work
Jesse
on this.
Pinkman science bitches. From Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's right.
How about like an actual scientist? Who's not an old British guy who's annoying. I don't like his smuggy voice.
He was a scientist once.
I know. I'd say he's a scientist. I'm not saying that. He's just a smugginess. I think it's a reason people don't like atheists sometimes because some atheists like him are like smuggy.
Token atheist, right?
Well, he's propagating. Anyways, me first.
You first.
Yes. Okay, so I want to. Oh man, how do I explain all this? Okay, so my background is in astronomy, so I chose a topic in astronomy. A few months ago on the podcast, you might have remembered me being like, "There's a public talk in astronomy. You should totally come." So I went to it. And it was a lady from an astronomer from McGill named Vicky Caspi who gave a talk on. I didn't even know what it was going to be about. I just showed up because I knew she did like neutron stars and stuff. I thought it'd be like high energy star stuff. It totally wasn't about that. And it actually was about a topic I had no idea about. I'd never heard of it before, and so I thought it was really cool. So, and then there's been a really important recent discovery by a Canadian telescope like last week. So on this topic, so that's why I kind of chose it, and it's super interesting. So this is about fast radio bursts. FRBs. So I might say FRBs instead of saying fast radio bursts because, that's what scientists do. We make acronyms. So, okay, so, you think astronomy, there's lots of astronomical objects out there. There's planets, there's comets, there's galaxies, there's clusters, there's blah, 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 blah. Okay, there's stuff we know about, okay? We even know about exotic things like black holes and active galactic nuclei and quasars and neutron stars and all, fancy schmancy things. But honestly, in my experience in astronomy, I'd never heard of a new type of object that had been discovered. But in 2007, a new type of object was discovered. Okay. So this is interesting. It was actually discovered from archive data, which means some professor told his grad students to pore over data, and this data happened to be 6 years old. So it was from 2001. And actually, astronomers crunch through data. Like it's not lots of data is observed, and a lot of astronomers actually just have whole careers, so they don't actually take new observations. They just pore through old observations.
Right.
Oh yeah. There's even people who try to find and archive like really old stuff, like 100-year-old photographic plates, right? And then digitize it and to get information from it. Anyway, but the student used 2001 data in 2007, and he found a bright burst of radio waves. So we call it a fast radio burst. So basically what we've found is that there are these super, super bright, very strong flashes of radio waves. Okay. They come from all over the sky. Okay. And they only last for a few, a fraction of a millisecond to a few milliseconds. So very, very short.
Wow.
Okay. Now, so when we say radio, it's not like we use radio waves with radios to, have music and words and stuff, right? But this is, when we say radio in this context, we just mean a type of light, right? So there's light we see, there's microwaves, ultraviolet rays, gamma rays, X-rays, blah, blah, all different kinds of light. Radio waves are one of the longest, lowest energy forms of light. Okay, so that's the spectrum, the area of light that we're looking at. Okay, so and it's interesting. Even these things are relatively given how far away we now think they are. They're super, super, super high energy. They're really, really bright, very short flashes. However, it's sort of like in terms of what strength we measure, by the time it gets to us, it's measuring the strength of the signal reaching Earth 1,000 times less than from a mobile phone on the moon.
Oh, geez.
So they're actually not very bright
Really
as we see them, but they're actually, I guess I'll come to the point, they're actually billions of light years away. So the light has been traveling to us for billions of years, and that's how strong we met,
Wow.
But so they were originally very bright because, I think that's a good way to start. So these are the FRBs that we've discovered. So there's actually only been maybe 60 FRBs that have ever been discovered. They're really hard to discover because you don't know. So all of them except 2 don't repeat. So they happen once and they never happen again. And so you have to just sort of happen to kind of see them. And the vast majority of them that have been discovered were mined out of archives, so out of data that have been taken, but and then you look for this later. Okay. So it's hard to know when it's going to happen. The sky is really big, and it's hard to know when it's going to happen. And with radio waves, it's actually also really hard to pinpoint exactly where it came from. So we only know about 60 about them. It's about 60 of them. They are bright, unresolved, meaning they're like a point, and they're broadband. They not just one. It's not like a laser of radio waves. There's a whole spectrum of radio waves that come out, and because it passes through so much medium to get to us, like lots of galaxies, and interstellar medium, intergalactic medium, blah blah. All the wavelengths are actually the different wavelengths get spread out. So the highest wavelength stuff reaches us first, and then the slightly lower wavelength reaches us next. The next fraction of a second, and then the next one. So it all kind of comes in over the course of like a few milliseconds, but it's actually spread out slightly, and we can actually get information about the material it passed through.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so that happened, and there's these point-length sources. So most of them, here's an interesting factoid. Most of them were discovered at first with the Parkes radio telescope in Australia. However, right around, 2010-ish, Parkes started saying that they'd actually measured something in real time. They'd actually detected say 16 or so in real time. Called but they were a little bit weird and so they looked like a fast radio burst. Their spectrum looked the same and they were the right frequency. Blah blah blah. And they named them. Oh, this is really funny. Peritons, and they were just like, what are these things? Blah, blah, blah. The only thing that made them, the only way you could tell that they were different than the other stuff, or that people maybe thought they might be different, is that you could detect them with more than one antenna at once. The other ones were very specific, very directional. Only this direct, but this one you were getting them in a wider field of view. So 5 years later, after they really dug into it, they actually had a guy write a paper, and he had to write a paper that says that actually these peritons that they had detected were actually caused by a microwave oven that people used to heat up their lunch at the building next to the telescope.
Oh, no.
Because they found that they mostly only were detected during the daytime, and they peaked around noon and blah blah. And it turns out that if people put on the microwave and then open the microwave without hitting stop first, if they just a few got it, and then the telescope would detect it, and it happened to look really, really, really similar to the fast radio burst.
Oh, geez.
Anyways, that's kind of a funny little factoid, but there's an actual paper on this and why it's hilarious, honestly. It was eventually also seen by other radio telescopes. We know it's not just a Parkes radio telescope thing. And Vicky Caspi, the one who gave the talk, estimated that there's as many as 10,000 FRBs per day in the sky. So there's a lot of them. We just... you have to be looking in that, with that telescope in that area when it happens. So the sky's big. So it's very interesting. So this is a brand new type of object that's been discovered in the last just over 10 years that we never knew anything about. So in 2012, so it was actually Vicky Caspi's grad student, discovered a repeating FRB. So you look in one spot of the sky and it happened over and over again. It didn't happen periodically. It's not like it happened every 14 days or anything like that. It would happen, 5 times in an hour and then not at all for weeks. And then it would happen again. And then it was just once and then not for a month. And then, it was irregular, but
it's still repeated, yeah.
And the long and short of it is astronomers actually don't know what this is. There's all sorts of, ideas out there about what it could possibly be, like any, black hole things and special high energy star things. Some people try to figure out, could it be, extraterrestrials, and this is the exhaust from their spaceship sort of thing. Nobody. I mean, I don't think that one's taken too seriously, but nobody actually knows what it is. But knowing that having the one that they saw in 2012 that repeats means that it can't be like a big cataclysmic event, like a once and done, right? It has to be something that can repeat. There's all sorts of theories, but nobody knows what it is. So blah, blah, blah. I'm going to move to, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but I'm interested in this topic. Okay. So, this seems like a separate topic, but I'm going to bring it back in. So, a bunch of Canadian astronomers decided to build a telescope near Penticton, BC. Penticton, BC is the home of the Dominion Radio Astronomical Observatory, DRAO. And they decided to build CHIME. CHIME stands for the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment. What they wanted to do is use hydrogen in the universe, like that they're observing from a billion to 7 billion years ago. So from when the universe is about half of its current age, and they wanted to look at it and map out what, I don't know if you guys know this, but the universe is actually accelerating. The universe is expanding. It's the space between galaxies is all getting bigger and bigger with time.
Right.
But that process is actually speeding up with time. The distance between galaxies is actually getting more and more faster and faster and faster. It's accelerating, and we don't know why. We attribute it to something we call dark energy, but nobody knows why. Anyway, so we're going to use hydrogen to look at that. That's what they built this telescope to do. It's a really cool telescope. It basically looks like 4 half pipes. They're shaped like half pipes, and it doesn't look like a satellite. You see the movie Contact, and it kind of looks like a big giant satellite dish radio telescope. No, it looks like a half pipe, 4 of them, and you can't point it at anything. It's just huge, and it uses the rotation of the Earth to just sweep across the sky. So it actually can see half the sky in the night. It actually looks at so it sweeps half the sky every night, every single night, and it uses all these supercomputers, all this fancy schmancy stuff to do it. What's really cool, I looked it up. It costs $16 million. That is
it's dirty cheap.
Astronomically cheap, pun intended. Okay.
Cheap.
It is something like Hubble Space Telescope cost, I think, originally $2 billion, plus who knows how many billions have been put into it. And most major telescopes who can make major contributions cost close to $1 billion, hundreds of millions, certainly. So $16 million. That's funding from multiple different granting agencies and different, you see American universities who contribute millions and millions of dollars, such that tens of millions, so that they're part of a big major telescope. But you have University of BC and Toronto being able to contribute enough to this. It's really cool. And a lot of it's just because we have the expertise here to do a lot of this. We can program the computers ourselves. We can build these antennas ourselves. There's some things it's just hardware for computers has gotten so cheap in terms of processing. They're able to do it. It's just so cool. So they created CHIME in order to map the hydrogen and figure out things about dark energy. And then this whole thing about fast radio bursts came up, and they're like, holy fuck, we can look for fast radio bursts too. And they realized they can actually do a better job than anyone has ever done. And they've already discovered it's only been officially commissioned since September. So it's less than 6 months. Wow. And they've already detected something stupid, almost 20 or something like that. They've detected a ton of them already, and there was only 60 known before, right? So they're going to detect lots and lots and lots. But the really cool thing, and then I'm coming back to the announcement that was last week. And so, by the way, if you've ever noticed, there's a lot of astronomy announcements in early January. It's because the annual American Astronomical Society has their meeting in January every year. And then they always try to time their press releases because all the astronomers are together. That's always when they come out. Anyways, so that's what they came out then. Long and short of it is, CHIME has discovered the second ever repeating FRB.
Okay.
So we know that the first one wasn't a coincidence. We know that the first one was can happen again. So and they actually only discovered it when they were commissioning the telescope. It wasn't even fully operational yet. They discovered it last August. So it's really, really cool. We have no idea what it is. We're pretty sure they're extragalactic. These signals are coming from outside of our galaxy. We think that because they're coming from everywhere, and because they think they might have found the counterpart galaxy that the first repeating fast radio burst from 2012 came from. It's a little tiny dwarf thing. It's not even anything. Anyways. And so we think they're coming from billions of light years away, different galaxies. and they're happening all the time, and we have no idea what the fuck they are. So I just think that's so cool. And then there's a huge Canadian component to this, because we have Canadian astronomers building like the world's best telescope to do this for like chump change. Yeah, which is so cool. It's
Total
so cool.
Chump change.
Yeah, anyways.
It's neat.
Sorry, I hope I didn't lose anyone there, but I just think it's really cool.
No, that was very interesting.
Yeah, FRBs.
Canadian.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think I even have any follow-up questions. That was
I'm not
thorough.
sure. I'm not sure. Yeah. Like, I don't.
I was wondering why because I read some of them were like, the light was polarized. And
Yeah.
how does that happen?
So they think like just like when you have like polarized sunglasses, basically it just means that light
when it's
traveling,
it.
Light could have like could be in any direction as it's going. A light wave of light is going. It could be rotated in any direction. So polarized light usually means that it's been kind of selected by your sunglasses to have only light of one direction like coming through basically, or one orientation. Polarization.
Yeah. Well.
So some of them are polarized, and they think it might have to do with where it originated. It would be subjected to really strong magnetic fields. The magnetic fields would pull all the polarization of the light in one direction and then send it off towards us. So they're not all polarized, though. The repeating one is, which I believe might even been the first one that they found that was polarized.
Yeah,
they're not all polarized. Some of them are, some of them aren't.
So yeah, like literally,
they don't know what the fuck they are.
The only thing I know about polarized light is that like, if you shoot it at pure enantiomers, it'll rotate the plane of the polarized light.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's why
I didn't know
something's
that.
like a chiral molecule. It has to be chiral though. So we had like a polarimetry machine that just shoots polarized light at the molecule, and you're like, yep, it rotated, so we know it's
chiral.
Only one. Only the left-handed
I see.
version of the molecule, and not a mixture of left and right, because it's really hard to separate.
Also useful like if you're boating. Polarized sunglasses gets rid of the glare.
Yeah, I made the mistake of buying non-polarized sunglasses, and I deeply regret it.
Anyways, but yeah, no, that's true.
Interesting.
Yeah, super cool.
No, that was. I don't know. I don't have anything I can.
It's so cool.
It is
so cool.
It is very cool.
Well, and like it's basically this whole new field. Like you can spend your
that's
entire
what I
career
find
looking at
bizarre.
that,
Like,
right?
I mean, we've known about. Like, I mean, there's no. When I started in astronomy, there's not like there's a type of object that I didn't know about before.
Yeah.
I mean, how much stuff could there be out there? And then it's like, holy fuck! Like this thing that's flashing 10,000 times a day, and we just never knew was there until 2007. Like, and I don't think they actually detected it live and for 5 years after that. Like, it took a while. Like. It's super, I don't know, this young stuff, I don't know, and we just have no idea what it is. I love that about science. Like, you can just no idea. Theorists have ideas, maybe, but then they put out papers, but they're all different, and we can't constrain any of them
There's
now.
There's no way to know for sure at this point.
Just gotta get more data.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's super cool.
It'll be neat to see what
but yeah, so if you do have a statistically significant sample, right, then you can start making assertions about it. And also, I mean, you worry that if you're mining previous data, that previous data was taken with something else in mind, some other reason in mind. So that would be biased, right? So what you want to do is a survey like this that samples the whole sky. Let's just get everything and just see what we get. It's super interesting.
It'd be super cool.
Right on.
See where it goes.
All right,
next?
Your turn.
So mine's more of like a archaeological thing, because I couldn't find any cool chemistry stuff, so. So basically, these archaeologists were looking at dental plaque from what turned out to be a woman. According to radiocarbon dating, she lived around 997 to 1162, and she was buried at a woman's monastery in Germany. So they were looking at the plaque, and they're looking for, let's see if we can find things about how diet was, and maybe environmental things like pollen and stuff. But they found this really bright blue stuff, and then finally figured out by making a lot of phone calls to a lot of confused people, saying we found this really blue stuff in plaque, and they're like, I don't know how to help you. I don't what do you physicists are like, I don't know what you want from me. And then the art community is like, why are you looking at teeth gunk? I don't understand. So finally they figured it out, that it was Lapis Lazuli, which is a type of rock that's very like blue and was used way back in the day, ground up really fine as to be a brilliant blue dye. So it was super valuable, like more valuable than gold at the time, and would have been used basically to paint the robes of various angels and the Virgin Mary and stuff like that, because that's how you wouldn't use it on like a depiction of a peasant of some sort. It was only for, the highest ranking angels and Mary.
What would they think of blue Skittles? You gotta wonder.
What are they what?
What would they think of blue Skittles? Anyways,
yeah.
It's only for the rich and the most elite. Sorry.
Yeah, so they're, making these manuscripts. So the kind of interesting thing, a bit of a maybe feminist slant, is that it was found in a woman's tartar, and it was previously thought, that women weren't good enough painters to do these things. It was just the monks, not the nuns, that did it. And so, of course, some people are like, well, she might have been she might have just been cleaning it. The room. No, cleaning the room and just inhaled some of the powder. And it's like, but it was like too valuable. It wasn't just like something you dusted off the, off the countertop kind of thing. So the prevailing theory, they did find out that some of the manuscripts around this time period, of course, were signed by men. Some were unsigned, so you don't know if it's men or women, but some were actually signed by women very close to this area and that time period. So this kind of adds further, credence to that claim that there were some sisters who were such skilled painters to be allowed to even use this stuff.
Neat.
So it's kind of fun. And then I like the last kind of paragraph. So they're saying like the stuff of everyday life accumulates in the gunk that modern dentists are so vigilant about scrubbing off. And the quote is, they aren't thinking of future archaeologists. Because they're looking for
current dental health.
Yeah, well, they're looking in dental plaque of really old skeletons to see all, diet and fibers and stuff. And so that kind of grossed me out to think that I just assumed plaque on my teeth was just like plaque. It wasn't embedded with things from my environment. Yeah. So I'm going to make sure I still go to the dentist, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I find that, if women, if a need is there, women were allowed to do stuff. Look at during World War II and all the men were off fighting in wars, then women, manned the factories because needed to happen. And turns out they're capable. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know how much of a necessarily need there was, because you would have had to have. But if you're good. Yeah, but how did you even get those skills in the first place if, so it had to have been, they're maybe given lower level work with maybe no pigments and just the brown.
But some people can make things happen. You know what I mean? Some people, if you have such an interest in a skill, you get good at it, irrespective if you're only a woman.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, and again, for this time and stuff, so it's just kind of interesting from that perspective, both that they found something so valuable in somebody's tartar, and that kind of shows that women can do stuff even back then, and they're really good at it. Such to get the most expensive of dyes, to paint Virgin Mary robes and such.
Cool.
Totes.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all I got.
All right.